Doing? Welcome on in. It is Sharon. Yes, can't wait to talk about this because I think it's time to quit. Yep, time to quit before burnout, layoffs, shutdown, whatever it is. That's what I want to talk about. Sometimes you just got to know when enough is enough, especially when it comes to burnout. And I always feel this way, especially for my nurses, my essential workers, those we used to say on the front line, but essential workers, right? And at the time of this recording, that's what's happening. You know, people still have to show up and work, especially if you are considered an essential worker based on where you are, where you live, and what's going on in the world. But what I really want to talk about, how do you know when it's time to quit? How do you know when it's time to hang up your stethoscope, your gavel, whatever it is that you do, when you just know, like, and sometimes too, people will make that decision for you. I will say that I've encountered enough entrepreneurs who have said that they didn't want to quit and they were just doing enough to stay hired, right? And just enough not to get fired, something like that. And many times it's not as popular now, but people used to talk about they stayed in jobs where the job didn't like them. They didn't like the job and the job didn't like them because it took everything in order to get there, even to get there for work, or if you work from home to plug up your computer, whatever it was, it just took too much. And sometimes that's, you're on the verge of burnout, that you've had enough, and then something may happen, a layoff, a furlough, jobs that are being eliminated, downsize, you name it, all of those things are happening. And like I was saying, sometimes the decision, it has been made for you, and here it comes. And then how do you navigate from that? So, and that could be different from those who are saying, you know what, I need to work, gotta work, have to put food on the table, take care of these kids, take care of this house, and all of these responsibilities. And they need to have those funds coming in. And here comes the layoffs, here comes the shutdown, here comes the elimination. So it does happen in different ways. And that's one of the things I want to say, that for everybody it is different. And even when you are in a situation, you may be in a job that you don't like, or the job don't like you, or the job is stressing you out, or people on the job may not like you, whatever it is, there's still some things that's attached to it. There's still responsibilities that you need to take care of. And either way, it's going to affect you. And how does it affect us when you get to burnout, to layoffs and shutdowns and furloughs and all of that? I don't have to keep saying it, but you know what I mean. How does it affect you, the person? How does it affect you, your mental state? Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, every which way you are affected. Because some people, they are so attached to their jobs, it's almost as if it's saying who they are, everything about them. And you have to decide, does my job make me who I am? What am I without it? And there's some folks who have never, they'll tell you they've never been without a job. They've always known how to work. And so whether they most of those people aren't the ones who are going to make the decision for themselves that they're not going to show up. It's the job that's making the decision for them. And then some people are so attached to it. They're so attached to the job. They're so attached to what's happening that they can't see any other way. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate this. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're talking about it. Now I can see the chat. Yes. So that's the thing that's going on. Isabel, Deegan, thank you guys for being here. Charity, really appreciate you. And yeah, so what do you do? What kind of work do you do? And if you don't have that job, Is that your identity? Are you so attached to it that if you didn't have it anymore, you're lost? Some people are so connected to that. So yeah, so that's one way to look at it. One way could look at it, it's your identity. You're connected to it, that you're almost like, who am I without that job? That's what I've known, or that title. Some people will say, oh, with that title, I've worked hard for it. I've got my, spent many years in school, and I've worked hard for this position. So what am I without it? And then there are those who have said, now I've done it. Now what? I've been able to conquer it. Let me move on. And then there are those who are like, no, I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm going to work until it's retirement time, whether it's 40 years. They used to say people would work 40 years, and at the end of it, you would get a watch and some money or something like that. And, it would be time to retire. But how, the way that things are changing right now, people aren't really looking to stay in jobs 20, 40 years. Okay. They're not looking for that to happen. Listen, guys, if you're coming in, I want you to be nice about it, because from what's been happening here on YouTube, they are so not playing right now. So if you come in and you make any comments, I'm seeing where they're about to shut some things down. So just be very careful. I always say this to people. Don't think that because you're behind, you're behind the keyboard, that folk can't see you. Don't think that's the case right here. Let's see. We're gonna make this a pop-up live jams, and I will do a block party tonight. So I'm not having that. All right, but you are more than welcome to be in this space, and definitely, I am. I'm grateful for those of you who are able to show up. Let's see what else we can do. Pop ups. Yep. Show more. Okay, let's see what else we got down here. But yeah, so tell me about your job. Are you one of those people that you're so connected to it that if you don't have the job, you are lost without it? Let me know. Definitely. Let me know if that's the case, because sometimes that does happen, right? Where you are so connected to it. Hey guys, I'm looking for something here. You're so connected to it that you can't, really I identify. One of the things too, when I named this duty calls, I wanted to talk about people. If you guys in the chat, I'll be there just for a moment. Just give me some time here. One of the things that I want to say is this. Another thing too, I've been seeing a lot of this on the internet. When I turn on my computer, I'm so troubled by it. I'm seeing where, with the jobs, there are a lot of people who are saying they're there. Are they there just for the money, for the hours? Are they really doing what they're supposed to do? I saw something, and I can't make full judgment on it, but it was a video of a gentleman that it was like a surveillance camera wherever he was being held. It looked like he was in distress, whatever was going on with him. And the assumption was that the protocol that they should have done, allegedly, I have to say all of that, protocol was not done, and only later on to find out that it seems as if he was having a medical emergency. And so when you look at these things now, you're wondering, you're looking at these things. Am I on the job that I don't want to do this work? Am I here just to take up time? Or am I so exhausted that, it's all this paperwork? And I've always felt like this when I would go to work. When I go to work, I'm just there to work. There's nothing else I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm on point, that I can just do what I need to do. And when I'm done, I go home. That's it. And so sometimes we have to be in the mindset, I'm here to do a job. And sometimes you do get tired. But there's so many of us, we're in positions where we cannot cut corners, guys. We can't cut corners. And reason being, it's because that somebody's life could be at stake for that. because of that, right? And so that's one of the things too. So when duty calls, are you there just to take up the time, count off those 8, 12 hours? Or, I'm just here, pick and choose. Do I not follow the policies? Do I not follow the procedures? And then things can happen. So not many people have the liberty to say, I'm just here chilling. No, there are those who are considered, especially if you are considered as a or as an essential worker, right? If you're considered as such, then you just got to show up all the time. And the thing about it too, that's when we also start to talk about burnout. That's when we talk about burnout, all because of maybe people just had enough, or you could have a bad shift. I'm not saying that you can't have a bad day, right? Because it does happen. It does happen when you can have a bad day. And you could just be off. And that's why too, mental health days, we call them what we used to call them, mental health days. Why did we do that? Because listen, if you feel like I can't do this thing today, or I can't have it, call out. In some situations, you may just have to call out, like, I've had enough of that. Today, I just can't deal with it. So it will happen that you can have some of those situations that's going on. And I also believe that even with the layoffs, one of the things that I'm concerned about, of course, because there are those who are currently working and they're saying, well, they're going to get back pay. But if you don't have that extra money, if you don't have the extra funds to deal with that, then it's going to be an issue. But yeah, my question to you, have you ever gotten to the point of burnout? Have you ever gotten to the point of burnout? I know a lot of my nurses, we hear that a lot in the healthcare field, but also we have our first responders, we have our police officers, and those who are always, they have to show up. And this can be a lot. It can be a lot. Sometimes too, we'll see things and folks will say, oh, they're mean, they're wicked, they're this and they're that. And my God, they too might have had some issues, some other things that's going on. So it's kind of hard just to cast judgment on people. And I don't want to do that. So whatever my opinions are, I'm going to keep them to myself fully. But we can just talk a little bit about that. Do you also agree that you got to know when to quit? You got to, when they say, you got to know when to hold and when to fold them, when to walk away, know when to run. And in some situations, when you feel that heat on your back, like, listen, baby, I can't stay here any longer, because if I do, something's going to give, and it's not going to be me, or something is going to break, and it's not going to be me. So those are some of the things too. Even with all of this that's happening, you may even have to question yourself. Now, there's some people involuntary that they weren't looking to retire, they weren't looking to leave their job, they weren't looking to take anything off other than their PTO, their paid time off, or their vacation. But now they've got a vacation that they really didn't want, because they also have responsibilities. And so that's where it comes in with the burnout situation, that, oh no, they'll be like, no, that's not for me. I take my vacation, I take my time off. And of course, there are folks who would say, I've worked for this, and we've made plans. Some people, and when you think of a job, when there come times for a job change, think of how it affects the family, especially where people may be with their young family, their children. They may have young children, whether they're in private school, public school, or whatever, it costs their expenses, for even if it's public school, to get them to school, clothes, books, and other things that's needed. So there are expenses, and people have said, and I remember when my daughters were younger, listen, like, there are expenses, there are things that needs to be taken care of. And many parents, made the sacrifice so that their children could have, especially if you have or had children in private school, and you need to pay that school fee, and you're going to get that note. You ever get that note, Miss Anderson? Would you be able to come in, or when can you make that payment? And it's just like, I'm trying. We're trying to do everything that we know how, just to make sure that things are taken care of, and just to think to have all of that cut off right now. So it's tough, and we're hoping that the resources are there, even if it's just for a few weeks, and hopefully it doesn't last for too long. But then there are those, and just think of it too, some of the jobs may be eliminated. Think of that's a possibility, that can happen. So if anything that I need to say is just to really take care of oneself, take care of yourself, because you are worth taking care of you. You are worth trying to just figure it out and have a backup to see how else or what else you could do. With layoffs coming, they're saying there are mass layoffs, and with the shutdown and everything else that's going on. But just think of it. There are other things that more people are going to be out here. There are more people who are going to be out here where there's unemployment, and they're going to find other ways of doing things. There's some folks who will tell you, listen, baby, if I got to Uber, I'm going to have to Uber. If I've got to do Uber, if they're going to go Instacart, whatever else. Now it may require some folks using some of their skills, being a consultant. So sometimes when these things happen, if you don't quit, or burnout, or you're looked into shift or pivot, then you may have to think of, what else can I do? How can I use my gifting? How can I use my skills? I'm always talking about that. How do you turn that into something else? Because it may require it. Mm. But sometimes too, people will say, all this time I haven't been using my mic. I need to hook up so we can get that surround sound. But then people will say, well, how do I use my gifting and my skills? Just because this happened right now, I'm going to try and do that. But what if? So in overall, all of this is showing us that there's no job security, and we may have to have other things that can truly support us if that job is no longer there. And this isn't the first shutdown. It's not the first. It has happened before, but it's just that we've seen, what, 300,000. They're saying, at least, um, in the job sector market, that those jobs are gone. And from the stats, I don't have exactly where it's from, but maybe you can Google and find out where those 300,000 jobs and who it affected. And now you're thinking, all these folks are out here now looking for jobs. They have homes, they have mortgages, they have car payments, even just the basic things. Even if you just look at the basic things that you need to take care of, just even if just to pay your rent, just your car payment and your insurance, and to put food on the table. Even if you get rid of all the other stuff, I don't care if it's cable, whatever, apps and gym memberships and all those things, you're going to see how it's going to affect the economy. And it's going to affect a lot of people. So now, even when you look at the domino effect, people are going to, like, we don't have this extra money to go out and eat. So it may start to affect the restaurants. Just think of that. Because it's, gosh, yes, it's a domino effect. It affects everybody. And the stores, we see some stores who are no longer in business because people are like, listen, even before this, they didn't have the funds, they didn't have the money to to spend like that. And the economy, it needs that. It needs it. So we're just seeing, and I'm not an economist. I don't deal with, I'm just saying, I'm just a lady over here having a conversation, sipping my tea and wearing my Bermuda shirt. I'm talking about burnout. And so sometimes too, in different areas of your life, you got to know when to quit. You have to know when it's time to back off. That period or that season, you've gone through that season. It has served its time. So it's not just, with the jobs, and it's just a season where it has served its time. Some friendships too, some friendships just need, it has served its time and it's time to quit. It's just like, you know what, it fades away. You've both decide to go in different directions. And even if there are misunderstandings, you got to know and ask yourself, is this time that I move on? And yes, people's feelings are going to be hurt. People's feelings are going to be hurt when you move on, because that relationship, that friendship has already served its purpose. So it's time to move on. Just like with that job, some people will feel it, but they're saying, I have all of these responsibilities. Student loan, bam, bam, bam. I have all of these responsibilities. It is not so easy. So I would never be insensitive to say, you know what, you just quit that job and just go on. No, there are going to be different reasons, different things that you may have to weigh, what they say, the pros and the cons on why you should move on, and not to feel guilty about it. That's the thing, why a lot of people would feel guilty, because you don't want to seem ungrateful. A lot of people will tell you, even if they're in positions or job wise or certain status, why they don't want, may feel as if they can't walk away from it. It is because they don't want to seem to be ungrateful. So these are some things that we ourselves will have to look at and say, you know what, I don't want to be ungrateful, but this is a time and a season too where it has served its purpose. And so it would require being prepared for that. And yes, there's some, like I said, and we spoke about it before, that these situations may just, you're caught off guard. A lot of people, even though they might have gotten some form of notification ahead of time, they're caught off guard. And then they were like, I didn't plan for this. This is something that I didn't plan. But there's some situations that you will say, you know what, it's not even so much about having a backup plan. I'd have to look at other ways how I can maximize what I do. And I've always, I like it sometimes when, even on, YouTube or wherever, you can go and people will find out, like, what other jobs can they do. Some people who may have an administrative background, they're like, what else could I do? Maybe it could be becoming a consultant, or I could, work for somebody. I could take work as an independent contractor and do some of those things. So that's one of the things I would tell anyone. It doesn't matter what you are doing, there should be a way that you can find out, if, just in case, what else can I do? Some people may not want to do it because it could be a conflict of interest. If you're working somewhere, hopefully I'm making sense to somebody. If we're working somewhere and you're finding out that there are other people, they're contractors, they're things that are outsourced. So maybe later on, you, in the back of your mind, you could say, what, that could be a backup later on. How do they do that? Something you don't want to wait until then, but then it can, you know it happens. And so with anything, that too will say, you know what, let me look and see what else I can do. A lot of us here on YouTube start a podcast, talking to the camera. I don't mind how many people are here watching this, and I'm not going to stress it out, nor do I want to stress anyone to watch, to listen, or to do anything. You do that on your own free will. And so, anything that we're going to do, especially around burnout, anything you're going to do right now, I would say, I want the joy in it. In many things, people will tell you they've lost their joy. I've heard nurses who said they lost their joy for nursing and they want to bring it back. I can talk about that because that's what I know, right? They'll say, I lost my joy for it. I want to bring it back. I've lost my joy for YouTube. I want to bring it back. And sometimes, or some people say, I just need to move away because burnout is so real. You may need to move away from it. Any job, any situation, any relationship, you may want to move away from it because you can't keep going 100% at all times. There's no way you're going to be able to do that and be able to produce the way that you should. And don't take it personal. All of this stuff that we're doing, right now I'm sticking on the YouTube. I'm talking about the YouTube thing now. The burnout here is real, but don't take it personal because it's a lot that's happening. But for me right now, I'm having fun. Yes, FUN. And I've said that before. In anything I do, I'm like, okay, caught up a little while. What's going on with these hours? Whatever is happening. Okay, I stop for a moment. So be it. If you're doing YouTube and you need to take a breather, you take a breather because it can get intense. And don't get caught up in all of this. There are other ways that many of us make our living, right? But it's not the thing that you're going to get so caught up that now you're going to be having beefs with people. So they're like, no, what does YouTube and burnout and layoffs and government shutdown having to do with YouTube beefs, right? Because I'm talking about sometimes you're doing something so much that you're in overdrive. You've done it and you're running on fumes. So I know I have a lot of people who are YouTube content creators and they're here and they said, Sharon, I've stepped back. I've listened to you. I'm having fun with this thing while I'm doing it, but I'm also strategic with how I'm doing it. You got to have some strategy behind why you are doing this. Okay. Could it be just for the visibility? Some people will tell you, will do it in the comment section. Going to get it back up and running where you can just get on my list and I'll send out some information to you, right? I think I do have a free visibility checklist that you can hop on and get that. And so it's just, for me, how to stay connected with folks. That's one of the things that I do. I find ways how to just connect with people and there's no strings attached to it. So that's how I feel that a lot of us can prevent burnout, knowing that nothing lasts forever. This too shall pass. Any job, any friendship, any relationship, anything, this too shall pass. And it's what am I going to do with the time that I have? What am I going to do while I'm here? Do I want to just feel so stressed out that all I'm doing that every day, every night, whatever the situation is? No, maybe it's easier said than done because folks will tell you they have real issues. They have they have responsibilities to take care of. And so how can I not worry? Why should you? Sometimes to ask myself, why do I, you know, it's hard. It's hard. And it's hard in situations when people are going through job loss, when they're going through burnout, when they're going through layoffs, when they're even talking about a recession and all of those things. One doesn't want to sound insensitive. Absolutely not. Because we're talking about the lives of people. We're talking about their livelihoods. We're talking about them really staying up late at night, trying to figure it out. And with all of that that's happening, it just, touches the lives of many people. The 5Gs, hey, how are you? Thank you for being here. We're talking about, when is it time to quit? When is it time to quit anything that seems to be too much. And there are times, like I said before, the decision will be made for us. We may not want to quit, but something may happen, and there goes the decision is made. But we all have other things going on. I don't know if, I wanted to share this story and I'm like, should I? Should I? My tea is getting cold. I may have to get up and get some more tea. But I remember there was a situation where I was working in a particular department and went from one department to the next. But I just felt like I've served my purpose there. I could only just show up for work because that's what I would do, just show up. And then when I would go to work, I said I would just be so into my patients that I really didn't feel like talking to anybody, but my heart was no longer in that space. It wasn't about taking care of people. The people I worked with, they were very nice, but I knew that there was more and I wanted more. And so it started to manifest in different ways of sometimes you feel a little anxious, sometimes you feel like you're dragging, sometimes you feel like it's taken everything just to get there. And that happened. And it happened for a while, it dragged on and on. But you two have to know when in that space enough is enough. Because if not, it's going to affect your mental state and it is going to affect your health. So, just a thought, just a thought of it. Let me know if you agree with me that sometimes you have to step back. And sometimes if you do not make the decision may be made for you, whether voluntary or involuntary. And it's tough. It's tough. And so we have to figure out what's best for us, or you have to figure out what's best for you. But in times like these, how do we navigate all of this? I would just hope the resources are there. I would just hope that a lot of this doesn't continue on. And I'm just hoping that there will be family members and loved ones that will be able to get through it. I do believe it's a time right now where we have to check in on each other, where community is important. Queen, thank you for coming in. Just saying hello. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. I believe it's a time where we have to take care of each other. I also believe that even in the healthcare portions of it, there are going to be some providers who may have to just, I don't know, even know so much pro bono work, but they may just have to extend themselves a little bit more because there may be folks who may not have their health care, their insurance, and the things that they need, or the resources for the people to come in and support them. So I'm feeling right now that the community will need to lean on each other, really lean on each other and find the places, whether it's a community center, whether it's something for seniors, whether it's the church, find ways where those resources, and I'm hoping a lot of them aren't cut, because you want to really be able to help each other and to find out how we can support each other. Community is going to be huge in this season, even more so. A lot of times people will say, well, you're resilient, but a lot of times too, one has to be resourceful. And I spoke before, I did a live before when I spoke about, we may just have to take better care of ourselves. And some people will say, well, the foods and stuff that we eat, maybe do your own gardening. It's just, oh gosh, it's just so much. Sometimes you will think about the simpler times when you grew your own food. You see, I'm from the Caribbean, so I've seen that where people plant their own yams, their own peas, they had every tree in the yard you could think of, and There are folks who still do that. And people would look at it and say, oh, they're poor. They didn't have this and that. Absolutely not. Because most of those stuff now, you go in a supermarket, you got to go buy it and you're spending a whole lot of money just for a coconut. I spend in the summertime, it's about 5 US for one. I just wanted some coconut water and it's 5 US at the time. And that was considered cheap. It's much more than that in certain places. I just wanted me some coconut. In the Caribbean, somebody would go up and pick the coconut tree or the coconut drop on whichever way. And you're looking at it and you're like, man, how life has changed. How life has changed, right? And so, these things, they do happen. And I could only think of it when I go back to the Caribbean so I can truly enjoy those things. But back to reality. Well, not that it isn't reality, because that's some people's reality, right? But now back to what's happening. Like I said, with the layoffs and everything that has been happening, that we do hope that the resources are there. We do hope that community, it's huge, it's big, and that we can find ways in the resources that people are able to hold them over. Until then, uh, you know, traveling, it's very difficult, it's tough. I know conferences that were canceled because of the travel. There's one particular conference I was going to, and they keep their event at the airport, and they just decided it was at LAX out there in one of the hotels. It's going to be too much because people are worried about delays, people are worried about cancellations, people are worried about getting canceled, getting stuck. So all of that, and we pray for traveling mercies and all of those things. So we're going through a lot, and I believe that we can get through it with it, just being kind, being courteous and kind and considerate of each other. And even when we can't get to where we need to right away, and things lines may be longer, taking a little bit longer, we just may have to give ourselves advance time to get to where we need to, and just be courteous with those who are serving, because right now it's a lot that's happening. I also want to say once again that if you are in a position in a job where, if you know you're going to go in and work those 8 hours and there's certain things that needs to be done, instead of worrying about it being about a lot of paperwork, let's just hopefully. And once again, I have to say thank you. I'm not going to blame anyone and point fingers, but I'm so grateful and thankful for those first responders, the essential personnel that are out there doing their jobs. They're human like everybody else. They have faults, and sometimes too we may see some viral video, those who aren't showing up like they should, whatever the pressure, whatever they feel, whatever is going on, why they choose to react that way. I pray and I hope that we can really get through this. And I do believe that they're training, proper training for a lot of employees in a lot of these departments. And we would hope that that's being done, because it's not easy dealing with the public. However, when you get that responsibility to work with the public, baby, that's what I'm telling you. If you just feel like today's not the day, that if I go into work, I'm going to say something I'm not supposed, stay home. Stay home. Trust me, they will find someone. When it comes to burnout, or when it comes to whether they're going to get rid of you or lay you off or suspension, they will find a warm body in that space. They will find it. You they will call an agency so quick to replace you as needed. And that's why your mental health, not giving medical advice here or mental health advice to anyone, but really, it's going to require you saying, you know what, I need this. I'm taking a mental health day, whatever it is, your PTO, take that day off. Take that day off. And what else can you do? A lot of teachers are doing tutoring online elsewhere. They're just like, listen, if this were to happen, this is what's going to go down. Okay. This is what's happening right now. And some people may not even have the energy to have that second job. They may not have that energy, but there are those who are looking at different ways of how they can create additional streams of income. Because I'm telling you, when that one income shuts off, mm, it's something else. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and hanging out with me. And thank you so much. Come back to the replay, drop me a heart or whatever, and just let me know that you're here. It's okay. No stress um, on anyone. Just, just stop by and say hello, and I'll do the same for you. I like that. Just go back on some of the lives. I've been doing a lot of lives because it's just easier until the fancy editing will come in. I've been saying that for about a year now when all the editing comes in, but I'm just truly trying to do the best that I can. All right, everybody, it's been good. It's been great. Until next time I see you, I thank you for being here. And I really, truly appreciate you just showing up. All right, take care now. Bye.